The city was full of lights, but Daniel felt only darkness inside. Every tower glowed with neon, every screen shouted with promises of easy money, and yet his pockets were empty. He had no job, no family near him, and no hope. Rent was due in 2 days. If he failed to pay, the landlord would throw him out. Daniel sat in a small cafe drinking cheap coffee that tasted like burnt paper. He opened his old tablet and scrolled through job listings. Most jobs needed skills he didn't have. Some wanted years of training. Others paid so little he could not even buy food. His heart felt heavy. Then his eyes stopped on something strange. Special contract, wealth guaranteed. Personal assistant included. Immediate effect. Daniel frowned. The word sounded too good to be real. Underneath was a long description full of strange phrases. Service bond. Universal loyalty. Contract cannot be broken once signed. He didn't understand most of it, but one line caught his attention. First payment, 10,000 credits on signing. Daniel's hands shook. 10,000 credits could change everything. It could pay his rent, buy food for months, and maybe even let him start fresh. But another thought whispered in his mind. This looks dangerous. Too easy, too strange. He looked around the cafe. People laughed, people rushed, and no one cared about him. Desperation pushed the warning voice away. He clicked Accept Contract. The tablet asked for his digital signature. He pressed his thumb on the screen. A flash of light blinked across the words like lightning behind the letters. For a moment, Daniel felt a cold wind on his neck. Then the screen went blank. Is that it? He whispered. He checked his bank account. His eyes went wide. 10,000 credits had already arrived. Daniel laughed, half in shock, half in joy. He closed his tablet, finished his coffee, and rushed home. His apartment was small, with peeling walls and a broken fan that made more noise than air. Daniel threw himself on the couch. Finally, he said, smiling. Maybe my life will turn around. But as the night grew darker, something felt wrong. The air inside the room grew heavy. The lights flickered. The broken fan stopped spinning. Then, at exactly midnight, the apartment shook. The floor vibrated. A low humming sound filled the room like engines hidden underground. Daniel jumped up, his heart racing. What is happening? The wall near his bed began to glow. At first it was a small dot, then a circle, then a swirling portal of light. The sound grew louder, like thunder mixed with whispers. Daniel stepped back, covering his face. The light was too strong. Then something stepped out. It was tall, taller than any man Daniel had ever seen. Its skin shone like metal, dark silver with sharp patterns. Its eyes glowed yellow, burning like fire inside crystal. The creature's body was strong, armored, and strange symbols ran across its chest. Daniel's mouth went dry. He could not move. He could not breathe. The alien looked at him, tilting its head like a hunter examining prey. Then, in a deep voice that shook the room, it spoke. I am Zirak. By the contract I am bound to you. Daniel's knees almost gave way. What? Bound to me? What do you mean? The alien stepped closer. Each movement was silent but powerful, like a shadow with weight. You signed the universal contract. By the law of stars, I am now your servant. You are my master. Daniel shook his head, panicking. No, I just wanted a job. I didn't want this. I thought it was... The alien raised one hand, stopping his words. The contract cannot be undone. You are now the master of war. My life is tied to yours. Where you go, I go. Whom you fight, I fight, until death takes us both. Daniel's heart hammered in his chest. His breath came in quick gasps. This was not a job. This was something else, something dangerous. The alien lowered its head almost like a bow. Command me, master, Daniel wanted to scream. He wanted to run. But his legs were frozen. His mind spun with fear and confusion. He remembered the strange words in the contract. Universal loyalty. Cannot be broken. Now it made sense. He had not hired an assistant. He had called something from another world. The glowing eyes of the alien never blinked. They watched him with patience, with obedience, but also with a quiet power. Daniel felt trapped. The money was real, but so was the creature standing in his apartment. He swallowed hard. What are you? The alien answered with no hesitation. I am your servant. And your weapon. The lights flickered again. The portal behind him closed with a sharp crack, leaving silence. Daniel stood in the still room, staring at the being that now belonged to him, and for the first time in his life, he realized He had made the wrong choice. Daniel did not sleep that night. How could he? An alien stood in his apartment watching him with glowing yellow eyes. The creature, Zyrak as it called itself, moved with calm confidence. It didn't sit on the couch, didn't rest, didn't even blink. It stood like a soldier waiting for orders. Daniel sat on the edge of his bed, his hands shaking. He tried to think of something to say. Do you need food? Or water? Zyrak tilted its head slightly. The deep voice rumbled. I require no human food. My body is sustained by inner energy. I serve only through command. Daniel rubbed his face. Great. I signed a contract for an alien robot butler, but Zyrak did not smile. It didn't seem to understand jokes. Instead, it lowered its head in respect. I am your servant. You are my master of war. Speak and I obey. Those words made Daniel freeze again. Master of war? What did that mean? He was just a man with no job, no training, no power. Listen, Daniel said carefully. I'm not a master of war. I'm just a regular guy. You must be mistaken. Zyrak's eyes burned brighter. The contract never lies. Only a true master may bind a warrior like me. The stars themselves recognize your claim. Daniel's stomach twisted. He wanted to laugh, but his fear stopped him. What if this alien really believed he was some great warlord? Morning came, but nothing felt normal. Daniel made himself instant noodles while Zyrak stood silently in the corner watching. The alien's armor-like skin reflected the weak sunlight that crept through the dirty window. Daniel tried to act casual. So, what exactly can you do? The answer came like a hammer. I fight. I kill. I protect. I destroy fleets. I conquer worlds! Daniel dropped his fork. Worlds? Zyrak nodded once. I was bred for battle. My enemies called me the Blood Titan of Calaris. Now by contract, I am yours. Daniel almost choked on his noodles. He had wanted a job, not a galactic killing machine. Later, Daniel walked outside trying to calm his thoughts. To his shock, Zyrak followed, walking behind him like a shadow. People on the street didn't notice. Somehow the alien's presence was hidden from human eyes. Only Daniel could see him. Wait, Daniel whispered. They don't see you? Zyrak replied without emotion. Servants remain unseen unless commanded to reveal themselves. The contract protects secrecy. Daniel shivered. The more he learned, the more dangerous this became. That afternoon, Daniel tested Zyrak. Okay, show me what you can do. Zyrak raised one hand. Energy crackled like lightning between its fingers. The floor shook and a chair across the room shattered into dust. Daniel's jaw dropped. That's insane. Zyrak lowered its hand. This is only a fraction of my power. If you order, I can break armies. Daniel swallowed hard. Yeah, no thanks. Please don't blow up my apartment. The alien said nothing, only bowed its head again. But something troubled Daniel. Why did Zyrak keep calling him Master of War? Why did the contract give him such a powerful servant? That night, as Daniel tried to rest, Zyrak finally spoke again. You do not understand the contract you signed. Daniel sat up. You're right. I don't. Zyrak's voice was calm but heavy with meaning. This is no small service. This bond was written in the law of the galaxy. Only commanders, generals, and conquerors use such contracts. They bind warriors like me to serve until death. Daniel felt cold. His worst fear was true. This wasn't some accident. He had signed a contract meant for alien warlords, so... What happens now? He whispered. Zyrak's eyes glowed brighter. Now enemies will come. They will believe you are their rival. You will be hunted. Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to scream, but his throat was dry. Hunted? By who? The alien's voice rumbled like thunder. By those who fear the Master of War, and by those who want to steal me from you. The next day, Daniel stayed inside, too afraid to leave. He kept staring at Zyrak, trying to believe this was all a nightmare. But then, late in the evening, the apartment lights flickered again. Daniel froze. What now? Zyrak's head snapped toward the window. Its hand glowed with energy, ready for battle. They are here. Daniel ran to the window. At first he saw nothing. Then in the distance, across the city's sky, he spotted a shape. A dark, sharp object floated high above the buildings. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't a drone, it was a ship. Daniel's blood turned cold. A ship had come for them. Zyrak's deep voice broke the silence. The hunters have found us. Master. Daniel stumbled back from the window, his heart hammering. Hunters? Aliens? War? He had just wanted money. He had just wanted a job. And now, because of one wrong choice, Earth itself might be in danger. C-Rex stood tall, his armor glowing faintly with power. Do not fear. I will protect you. But this is only the beginning. The alien's eyes locked on Daniel's, unblinking, unshaken, and Daniel realized something terrifying. He was no longer just a man. He was the center of a war he didn't understand. Daniel's hand shook as he pulled the curtain shut. His chest rose and fell fast. He had seen it with his own eyes, a ship, black and sharp, floating above the city. That can't be real, he whispered. But it was real. C-Rex stood in the middle of the room, calm like stone. His glowing eyes stared at the ceiling as if he could see the ship through the roof. The hunters are here, he said, his deep voice steady. They come for me. And for you, Master. Daniel backed away, pressing himself against the wall. No. This isn't my fight. I don't want this. I never asked for this. C-Rex slowly turned to him. You asked when you signed the contract. Daniel's breath caught in his throat. The words hit him harder than a punch. He remembered the night at the cafe, the strange ad, the glowing text. The warning words cannot be broken once signed. At the time he thought it was just legal language, a trick to scare off people. But now he understood. He had not signed a job contract. He had signed a war contract. Daniel's voice cracked. What exactly did I agree to? Zarak took a step forward, the floor groaning under his weight. You agreed to ownership. You agreed to command. You agreed to war. The moment your thumb sealed the pact, you became my master. And every enemy I had became your enemy too. Daniel's knees went weak. He sank onto the couch. His mind spun like a broken wheel, but I'm not a soldier. I'm not even good at fighting video games. How can I be some kind of warlord? The alien tilted its head. The galaxy does not care if you are ready. The law is sealed. To them, you are now a commander. A threat. They will not question it. They will come to test you. To kill you. Daniel buried his face in his hands. His stomach churned. This is a mistake. I signed the wrong thing. I didn't mean it. But Zirik's reply was simple and cold. The contract never cares about meaning, only about signature. Outside, a low hum filled the air. Daniel looked up sharply. The window glowed faintly blue. Zirak's body stiffened. His voice dropped low. They are moving closer. Daniel's heart raced. Who are they? Hunters, mercenaries, slavers. They hunt warriors like me. And now they hunt you too. Daniel's skin went pale. His whole life he had been invisible, just another man lost in the city. Now aliens from across the stars were hunting him. How? How many are there? Zirak's eyes narrowed. Enough to kill a human city, but not enough to kill me. Daniel felt no comfort in those words. He stumbled to his tablet, pulling up the contract again. Maybe there was a cancel button. Maybe he could end this nightmare. But when he opened the file, the text had changed. It was no longer simple English. Strange alien symbols filled the screen, glowing with faint light. His tablet shook in his hands. What is this? Zirak leaned closer, his shadow falling over Daniel. That is the true language of the pact. Human eyes should not read it. If you do, it may burn your mind. Daniel dropped the tablet onto the floor. It cracked. This is insane, he whispered. All of this? It's insane. Zirak's voice softened, but only a little. You must understand. You cannot run from this. You cannot cancel it. The contract binds your soul. If you try to escape, it will take your life. Daniel stared at him, horrified. So I'm trapped? Forever? The alien warrior nodded slowly. Until death. Suddenly, a loud crash shook the building. Glass shattered somewhere below. Sirens wailed in the distance. Daniel jumped to his feet, fear flooding his body. What was that? Zirak moved to the window. His glowing eyes scanned the street below. The hunters have landed. They are searching. Soon they will come here. Daniel's voice cracked with panic. What do we do? The alien turned, his face unreadable. We fight, Daniel shook his head furiously. No. I can't fight. I don't know how. Zirak's chest glowed faintly as if a furnace burned inside him. Then watch. Learn. Survive. Before Daniel could reply, the door of the apartment rattled. Then it exploded inward with a flash of blue fire. 3 figures stepped inside. They were tall and thin, their bodies covered in dark armor. Their faces were hidden by masks shaped like skulls. Strange rifles hummed in their hands. One pointed at Daniel. Its voice was metallic, sharp. There he is. The new master. Kill the human. Capture the servant, Daniel froze. His throat closed. He couldn't even scream. but Zirak moved like lightning. With one step, he stood between Daniel and the intruders. His hand blazed with energy. "You will not touch him," Zirak growled. The hunters opened fire. Blue beams ripped through the room, blasting holes in the walls. Daniel dove to the floor, covering his head. When he looked up, his eyes widened. Zirak stood firm, his armor glowing, the beams bouncing harmlessly off his body. Then with a roar, he struck back. His fist smashed into the air, sending a wave of energy that threw the hunters against the wall like rag dolls. The apartment shook from the impact. Daniel crawled behind the couch, heart pounding, ears ringing. Zirak's voice boomed over the chaos. "This is the war you signed for, Master, and it has only begun." The apartment smelled of smoke and dust. Pieces of broken wall and furniture lay across the floor. Daniel pressed his back against the couch, his ears still ringing from the explosion. His hand shook as he tried to catch his breath. On the other side of the room, Zirak stood tall, glowing with power. The 3 hunters who had burst through the door were sprawled on the floor, groaning, their armor cracked from Zirak's strike. For one moment, Daniel thought it was over. But then the building trembled again. Heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. More shadows moved outside the broken doorway. Zirak's glowing eyes narrowed. They sent more. Daniel's stomach dropped. "More? How many?" The alien warrior raised his head, listening. "At least 10, maybe more." Daniel's face went pale. He was just one man hiding behind a couch, and now an army of killers was coming for him. The hunters entered, weapons ready. They moved in formation, quick and silent, their rifles glowing blue. Their skull-like masks turned toward Daniel. One of them hissed, voice sharp like metal scraping stone. "Hand over the servant, or die." Daniel froze, unable to move. His legs felt like stone. His voice cracked. I don't, but Zirak cut him off. He is under my protection. You will not touch him." The hunters laughed, a cold, mechanical sound. "Protection? You are a slave. Your contract can be broken. Kill the human and you are free." Daniel's heart skipped. Free? Could Zirak betray him? Could he switch sides? He looked at the alien warrior, fear twisting inside him. But Zirak only raised his glowing fists. His voice rumbled like thunder. "I do not break my oath. You will fall before him." The hunters opened fire. Blue beams ripped across the room, blasting holes in the ceiling, shattering glass, setting the curtains on fire. Daniel screamed and ducked lower, covering his head. Zirak didn't move. He stepped forward, letting the beams hit him. They bounced harmlessly off his armored skin, sparks flashing across the walls. Then he struck. With one powerful motion, Zirak slammed his fist into the floor. A shockwave spread out like a wave of lightning. The hunters were thrown back, crashing into the walls. Daniel stared in shock. His apartment was destroyed, but somehow he was still alive. 2 hunters jumped to their feet and rushed at Zirak with sharp blades glowing red. They moved fast. Their strikes aimed for his chest. But Zirak caught both blades in his hands and crushed them like toys. With a roar, he lifted one hunter and hurled it out the broken window. The creature screamed as it fell into the street below. The second hunter tried to retreat, but Zirak's glowing fist smashed through its chest plate, dropping it instantly. Daniel covered his mouth, horrified. This wasn't just a fight. This was a massacre. More hunters poured in. The hallway shook with their boots. Explosions echoed from other apartments. People screamed outside as the hunters searched every room. Daniel's chest tightened. Innocent people were getting caught in this. His neighbors, families, children. "This is my fault," he whispered, trembling. "All because I signed that stupid contract." Zirak turned his head for only a second. "Do not blame yourself, Master. This is their choice. They bring war here." Daniel wanted to believe him, but guilt clawed at his heart. The hunters regrouped. This time 5 of them stood shoulder to shoulder, raising their rifles together. They fired at once, beams merging into a single blast of blue fire. The impact struck Zirak's chest, pushing him back a step. His armor glowed red-hot where the beam hit. Daniel's eyes widened. "They're hurting him!" Zirak roared, his voice shaking the walls. He pushed forward through the blast, step by step. His body burned with energy, brighter and brighter, until he raised both hands and unleashed a storm of lightning. The hunters screamed as the energy tore through their armor. One by one they fell, smoke rising from their broken suits. Silence filled the room. Smoke drifted through the air. Daniel crawled out from behind the couch, shaking, his ears ringing. Are they gone?" he whispered. Sirac scanned the doorway, his eyes still glowing. For now, but others will follow. This city is no longer safe. Daniel's legs gave out and he sank to the floor. His apartment was destroyed. His neighbors were in danger, and he was being hunted by alien killers. What do we do? He asked, voice breaking. Sirac lowered his head. We leave. If you stay, more will come. Stronger ones. You are not safe here. Daniel looked around at the wreckage of his home. Broken furniture, shattered walls, glowing holes from alien weapons. His old life was gone. He swallowed hard. Where do we go? Sirac's voice rumbled with certainty. Away from the city. Somewhere hidden. Until you learn the truth of the contract. Daniel's heart skipped. The truth? You mean there's more? Sirac's eyes burned brighter, much more. You still do not know why they call you Master of War. Before Daniel could speak, a low rumble shook the night sky. The ground trembled under his feet. He looked out the broken window, his eyes widening in horror. Above the city, more ships were descending. Larger ones. Their shadows swallowed the stars. Sirac turned to him, his voice low but firm. This is only the first wave. The real war has just begun. The city burned in the distance. From a hill outside the urban sprawl, Daniel watched smoke rise into the night sky. His chest felt heavy with guilt. The hunters had attacked because of him. Families were running, buildings were broken, and it was all because he had signed that cursed contract. Sirac stood beside him, tall and silent, his eyes glowing faintly. The alien warrior looked like a living statue, unshaken, unafraid. Daniel hugged his arms around himself. They're dead because of me, he whispered. If I hadn't signed, none of this would have happened. Sirac turned his head slowly. Do not carry blame, that is not yours. The hunters choose their path. They would kill anyone who stood in their way. You did not call them, you only revealed yourself. Daniel laughed bitterly. Yeah, that makes me feel so much better. I revealed myself to an entire galaxy of killers. The alien said nothing. For a long moment, only the wind moved between them. They had found shelter in an abandoned warehouse at the edge of the city. Inside, the air smelled of rust and dust. Daniel collapsed onto a broken chair, his body weak. Sirac remained standing, always watchful. His armor glowed faintly in the dark, like embers of a dying fire. Daniel looked up at him. Why are you even helping me? You don't have to. They said you could be free if I die. Isn't that what you want? Sirac's glowing eyes locked on him. I am bound, but not only by law, by honor. I do not betray my master, even if the galaxy commands it. Daniel stared at him, confused. Honor, you're an alien soldier. Why would you care about some random human like me? Sirac lowered his head slightly. Because I was once a master too, and I was betrayed. Daniel blinked. The words sank deep into him. You had a master? The alien's voice was heavy, like stone grinding against stone. Long ago, I was bound to a warlord of the stars. He promised me glory. He promised me freedom after victory. But when the war was done, he sold my contract to another, and then another, until I became nothing but a tool passed from hand to hand. Daniel's stomach twisted. For the first time, he didn't see just a terrifying warrior. He saw pain. That's horrible, he whispered. Sirac nodded once. I have served for centuries, never once by choice, always bound, until you, Daniel frowned. Until me? But I didn't mean to sign. It was an accident. The alien's eyes glowed brighter. Accident or not, you did not treat me as a tool. You asked me if I needed food. You worried about me. No master has ever done that. Daniel felt his throat tighten. He didn't know what to say. For once, the alien didn't seem like a monster. He seemed almost human. The next day, Daniel woke to find Sirac sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed as if meditating. His body glowed faintly with energy. Daniel rubbed his eyes. Are you sleeping? No, Sirac replied without opening his eyes. I restore my strength through silence, but I am always awake if danger comes. Daniel sat nearby, pulling his knees to his chest. I can't keep living like this. Running, hiding, waiting for the next attack. There has to be a way to end this contract. Sirac opened his eyes slowly. There is one way, but it is dangerous. Daniel leaned forward. Tell me. The contract is written in alien law. It is tied to your soul. If you try to break it, your life ends instantly. But there is another path. Daniel's heart raced. What path? Sirac's voice dropped low, almost like a warning. Rewrite it. Daniel frowned. Rewrite it? You mean change the contract? The alien nodded. Only a galactic judge can alter a bound contract. They are keepers of law higher than kings. If you can stand before one, you may demand a change. But judges do not come easily. They come only when the universe itself is shaken. Daniel's stomach sank. That sounded impossible, and until then? He asked. Zirak's glowing eyes locked on him. Until then, you must become what they already believe you are. A master of war. Daniel's blood went cold. I can't. I'm not a fighter. I can't lead armies. But Zirak rose to his full height, towering over him. You must learn. If you remain weak, you will die. If you die, I die. And the galaxy will claim Earth as battlefield. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. He didn't want to be a fighter. He didn't want any of this. But if he did nothing, Earth would burn. That night, Zirak began to train him. In the empty warehouse, Daniel stumbled with a metal pipe as Zirak corrected his stance. Hold firm. Do not run. Fear is natural, but control is power. Daniel swung clumsily, nearly falling over. Zirak caught him, steadying him. Again. Hours passed. Daniel's arms burned. His body ached. But he kept trying. For the first time in his life, he wasn't just surviving, he was fighting to survive. As the night grew late, Daniel collapsed to the floor, sweating and exhausted. I can't do this, he gasped. Zirak crouched beside him, his voice softer than ever before. You can. You must, and I will be with you. Not as a servant, but as a brother. Daniel looked up surprised. A brother. The alien's glowing eyes burned brighter. Yes, bound by battle, bound by choice. For the first time since the contract began, Daniel felt something other than fear. He felt a bond. But peace didn't last. Outside, the night sky burned with fire as more ships descended from the stars. Zirak rose to his feet, his body glowing with energy once more. The time has come. War follows you, Master, and this world is about to bleed. Daniel's heart pounded. He had no choice. The bond was real now. He had to fight. The night sky turned red. From the warehouse roof, Daniel stared in horror as alien ships broke through the clouds. They were huge, sharp as knives, their engines glowing with a sick blue fire. The city below screamed with chaos, sirens, explosions, and people running in every direction. His throat went dry. They're really here. Zirak stood beside him, his armor glowing brighter than ever, like a living furnace. His deep voice rumbled through the night. The fleets have come. They believe you are a master of war. They will not stop until you are destroyed or until you lead. Daniel shook his head, backing away. No, I can't lead. I can barely swing a pipe without tripping. This is insane! Zirak's glowing eyes locked on him. You do not have the luxury of choice. War is here. Decide now. Will you run and let Earth burn, or will you stand? Daniel's chest tightened. He wanted to run. Every part of him screamed to hide. But then he thought of the families in the city, the children screaming below, the neighbors who had already suffered. If he ran, they would die. His fists clenched. His voice trembled, but he forced the words out. I'll stand. Zirak nodded once like a commander saluting. Then stand tall. Moments later, the first wave hit the streets. Alien hunters poured from dropships, armored and armed, their glowing rifles cutting through police cars and human soldiers like paper. Earth's defenses were nothing compared to galactic weapons. Daniel watched from the warehouse window as tanks rolled forward, only to be torn apart in seconds. Helicopters spun out of the sky, hit by beams of energy. Humanity was losing before the fight even began. Daniel's stomach twisted. They don't stand a chance. Zirak's hand glowed as he stepped toward the door. They will if you command me. Daniel swallowed hard. His voice was weak but steady. Then go. Stop them. The alien warrior charged into the streets like a storm. His body glowed, every step shaking the ground. Hunters fired their rifles, but their beams bounced off his armor. With one strike of his hand, cars flipped like toys, crushing alien soldiers beneath them. With a roar, he leapt into the air, smashing into the middle of a squad, his energy exploding outward like thunder. Daniel followed slowly, his legs shaking. He ducked behind rubble, watching in awe. Zirak was unstoppable. He tore through squads, sending hunters flying, his glowing fists burning through armor like paper. For a brief moment, Daniel felt hope. But then the sky darkened. A massive ship descended, larger than the buildings around it. Its shadow swallowed the streets. The hum of its engines shook Daniel's bones. Zirak looked up, his expression grim. A command ship. They send their generals now. The belly of the ship opened and something fell to the ground with a thunderous crash. When the dust cleared, Daniel's eyes widened in terror. It wasn't a soldier. It was a monster. 10 feet tall, with jagged armor and forearms, the alien general carried weapons fused into its body. Blades that glowed red and cannons built into its shoulders. Its face was a mask of bone, with burning eyes that locked onto Daniel instantly. Master of War, it hissed in a voice that rattled the ground. You are no commander. You are prey. Daniel's knees buckled. His body screamed to run, but Zirak stepped forward, his body glowing brighter, shielding Daniel with his massive frame. You will not touch him. The general struck first. Its cannons fired blasts of red energy, shaking the street. Zirak raised his arms, blocking the blasts, his armor glowing white-hot. He roared, charging forward, trading blow after blow. The two giants clashed, their strikes sending shockwaves through the city. Daniel was thrown to the ground by the force. He crawled behind a broken wall, covering his head as rubble fell around him. His heart pounded like a drum. He peeked out just in time to see Zirak smash the general into the pavement. But the monster rose again, slashing its glowing blades across Zirak's chest. Sparks flew. For the first time, Daniel saw Zirak stagger. No, Daniel whispered. The battle raged on. Cars exploded, buildings cracked, fire spread across the street. Zirak fought like a beast, but the general was just as strong. Each strike shook the earth. Each roar made Daniel's bones rattle. Daniel's hands trembled. He was useless. Just watching, hiding. Then Zirak's voice thundered over the chaos. Daniel, command me. Daniel froze. What? I am strongest under command. Speak, master. Guide my strike. Daniel's throat went dry. He didn't know how to fight. He didn't know tactics. But something inside him sparked. Fear mixed with desperation. Hit his legs. Daniel shouted without thinking. Zirak moved instantly. He ducked low, slamming his glowing fists into the general's legs. The monster roared, falling to one knee. Now the chest, Daniel cried. Zirak struck again, his fist smashing into the general's chest plate, cracking it open. Energy spilled out like fire. The alien general screamed as Zirak drove his glowing hand through its core. With a final roar, the monster collapsed, lifeless, shaking the ground. Silence fell for only a moment. The hunters froze, watching their general fall. Then the command ship above began to glow. Its weapons charged, ready to fire on the entire city. Daniel's heart pounded. They're going to destroy everything. Zirak stood tall, his chest heaving from the battle. He turned to Daniel. One choice, master. We strike the ship or we run. But if we run, Earth burns. Daniel's mouth went dry. His whole body shook. He was just a man. But now the fate of a city, maybe the world, hung on his decision. He looked up at the glowing ship, then at Zirak. And for the first time, he raised his voice like a commander. Then we fight the ship. Zirak's glowing eyes burned brighter, and a faint smile touched his face. As you command. The command ship hovered above the city like a dark moon. Its weapons glowed, gathering power. If it fired, the city would vanish in flames. Daniel's chest tightened. His whole body shook, but he stood firm. For once, he wasn't just running. Zirak, he said, his voice trembling but steady. We take it down. The alien warrior's eyes burned brighter. Then hold nothing back. The ship will not fall easily. Zirak leapt high, crashing onto the roof of a nearby building. Daniel followed, scrambling up broken stairs, his lungs burning. From the rooftop, he could see the massive vessel clearly. Metal wings stretching across the sky, its engines shaking the clouds. Zirak raised his hand, gathering energy. Lightning crackled across his armored body. With a roar, he hurled a spear of glowing power toward the ship. The blast struck, shaking the vessel, but its shields held. The glow around the ship only grew stronger. Daniel's stomach dropped. It didn't work. Zirak's voice rumbled. It will take more than my strength. Command me, guide me. Daniel's mind raced. He wasn't a general. He wasn't trained. But he had to think. The engines, he shouted. Hit the engines, bring it down. Zirak moved instantly, leaping higher, slamming into the ship's side. His fists blazed as he struck the glowing engines. Sparks flew, metal cracked. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. But then the sky tore open. A portal of light appeared above the ship, brighter than the sun. From it descended a figure unlike any Daniel had ever seen. Tall, cloaked in silver, its face hidden by a mask of light, the figure radiated power. Even Zyrak stopped mid-strike, his eyes narrowing. "A galactic judge," he whispered. Daniel's blood went cold. The judge floated down, its voice echoing across the city. "Daniel of Earth, you signed a contract not meant for your kind. You bound a warrior through the law of stars. Now you must choose your fate." Daniel's throat closed. "Choose?" "Yes," the judge thundered. "1, accept the contract forever. You will command Zyrak in war without end. You will be hunted, feared, and obeyed until death. 2, break the contract. But your soul will be taken. You will die tonight." Daniel staggered. His mind spun. Stay alive as a warlord or die to escape. Both choices were chains. Zyrak stepped forward, his voice deep and steady. "Do not fear, Master. I will follow whichever path you take. Even death." Daniel looked at him, his heart pounding. This alien, once a stranger, had fought for him, bled for him, even called him brother. He couldn't doom Zyrak to slavery forever. But he couldn't accept death either. Then a thought sparked. A third way. Daniel looked at the judge. "You said the law is binding, but law can be rewritten, right?" The judge tilted its head. "Only if you stand as equal. Only if you claim your place as true master of war." Daniel swallowed hard. His voice shook, but he forced the words out. "Then I claim it. Not as a tyrant. Not as a slave master. I claim it to rewrite the contract." The judge's glowing eyes burned brighter. "What do you demand?" Daniel's chest tightened. His voice rose, filled with a strength he didn't know he had. "I demand freedom. Zyrak is no slave, no servant. He is my ally, my brother. Rewrite the contract to bind us as equals, or take me now." The air went still. The city seemed to hold its breath. Zyrak's glowing eyes widened. For the first time, his voice cracked with emotion. "Daniel." The judge hovered in silence, then raised its shining hand. The contract symbols burned into Daniel's skin, glowed bright, then shattered like glass. "So it is written, so it is done. The servant is freed, the master is no more. But the bond you chose remains." A wave of light swept through the sky. The hunters froze, then vanished, their bodies dissolving into dust. The massive ship cracked, breaking apart, falling into the sea with a final roar. The judge turned to Daniel one last time. "You have changed the law with courage. Remember, freedom is a heavier chain than slavery. Use it well." And then, the judge vanished into the stars. Silence fell over the ruined city. The fires still burned, but the battle was over. Daniel collapsed to his knees, exhausted. His body ached, his mind spun, but his heart burned with something new. Hope. Zyrak knelt beside him, placing a massive hand on his shoulder. His voice was no longer cold, no longer bound. "You freed me. No one has ever freed me. Yet I choose to stay, not as servant, not as slave, as brother." Daniel looked up at him, tears in his eyes. For the first time since signing the contract, he didn't feel trapped. He felt powerful, not because of war, but because he wasn't alone. Together, they looked at the sky where stars glittered over the broken city. Daniel whispered, "Maybe the universe made a mistake giving me that contract. But maybe it was the best mistake of my life."